The Presidency, Municipal, will reveal some of the outcomes of yesterday's cabinet meeting. Since last week's SONA address, the government has come in heavy criticism on the proposed new position of the electricity minister. There is the minister, Municipal.
President Cyril Ramaphosa's clarion call made in his 2023 State of the Nation address for all South Africans to work together and leave no one behind as we tackle our country's pressing challenges. The President's bold measures put energy at the forefront of government's plan of action for the year to deal decisively with load shedding and secure a sustainable energy supply. Cabinet urged all sectors of society to support the initiative outlined in the SONA by the President, which are critical to sustain our efforts to reduce unemployment, poverty and the rising cost of living, as well as combat crime and corruption. That includes load shedding. Government is determined to accelerate the work already underway to increase energy supply to national grid, and our task is to remove any impediments to that progress. In the next few weeks, cluster briefings will provide more information on government's program of action for the year ahead, as highlighted by the President in the SONA. The national budget to be presented on Wednesday, 22nd February 2023, will provide further information on government's program of action. On the African mining Indaba, Cabinet noted the outcome of the Indaba held at Cape Town International Convention Center from the 6th February to the 9th, 2023, under the theme, unquote, open quote, unlocking African mining investment, stability, security and supply, close quote. The African mining Indaba brought together industry players from across the continent and the globe and cemented its place as the premier mining investment conference on the continent. Mining continues to play a pivotal role in development and industrialization across the continent. It is an important contributor to job creation and retention, accounting for close to 500,000 direct jobs and close to 1 million indirect jobs in South Africa. Mining production in South Africa last year reached a record high of 1.18 trillion, boosting our gross domestic product, exports and revenue. Cabinet calls on all role players in the industry to continue working with government to realize a globally competitive industry that boosts economic growth, creates jobs, and drives sustainable development. On the floods, Cabinet expressed its condolences to the families who have lost loved ones in the recent devastating floods, which hit several parts of our country. We thank our emergency and rescue services across the country who have worked tirelessly to save lives. Let us come together as a nation and offer assistance to those who are in desperate need of care and support. That's the Cabinet's view. Cabinet urged people to stay indoors in case of heavy rain and stormy weather, and reminded those who live in low-lying areas to take extra caution. People are cautioned not to walk, swim or drive through fast-moving flood water or cross flooded roads, bridges and rivers. Cabinet urged members of the public to ensure that children are always safe from drowning during floods. On the gun violence, Cabinet expresses condolences to the family and friends of hip-hop artist Mr. Keenan Forbes, particularly known as eNCA, and celebrity chef Mr. Tibelo Mutswane, who were recently gunned down in Durban. Cabinet also expressed its sympathies to the family and friends of anti-crime activist Mr. Ayop Mungali, who was recently shot dead at El Dorado Park in Johannesburg. He was the National Director of the People Seeking Justice Action Group, a movement which mobilized community members to take a stand against gangsterism and drug dealing. Cabinet expressed condolences to the families and friends of those killed in recent mass shootings in the Western Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, and the Eastern Cape. These heinous and cold-blooded attacks, which are being investigated by law enforcement authorities, highlight the prevalence of gun violence and its impact in the communities. Cabinet reassures South Africans that South African Police Service is being strengthened to prevent crime. This includes putting more police on the streets and setting up specialized teams that will focus on specific types of crime. South Africa will also use data-driven methods in a more sophisticated way to identify and target crime hotspots. The SAPS is intensifying operations to detect and remove illegal firearms and ammunition from the hands of criminals. The police have in the past 12 months permanently removed 65,519 firearms from circulations. Although we accept more still needs to be done in this area. Government calls on all citizens and community structures to work together with their local SAPS to drive crime out of communities. If you have information that can help expose people involved in illegal activities, call Crime Stop at 0800 10 111. That's an old number which all of us, I think, we know. On the eNCA local municipality, the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Nkosazana Dlamini and Finance Minister Otto Godongwana briefed Cabinet on recent consultative engagements held with the key role players and stakeholders in the eNCA Municipal Local Authority. In April 2022, Cabinet approved an intervention in this municipality in terms of Section 139, subsection 7 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa of 1996, read together with Section 150 of Municipal Finance Management Act 2003. The eNCA municipality had been experiencing significant financial and service delivery failures for a long time before the intervention. Cabinet expressed its appreciation of the serious issues identified by stakeholders and has assured residents of this municipality that a decision on how to address the municipality's current challenges would be communicated soon. On the safety at schools, school safety in South Africa remains a top priority for government, and reports of violence between learners and educators are a serious cause for concern, I beg your pardon. While the Department of Basic Education has put measures or mechanisms in place to combat this scourge, it is the responsibility of parents and guardians, together with all of us, including government, to collaborate with school authorities and learners to ensure that schools remain safe places for our learners to develop and become responsible citizens. The safety of our educators at school is also of paramount importance. Road safety. Cabinet remains concerned at the extent of road carnage across the country. Government will be exploring new laws to curb truck crashes, one of which includes moving cargo from road to rail, in the hope that this will take pressure off road freight. Cabinet appeals to all road users to obey the rules of the road by being vigilant, considerate, and patient towards other road users. Drivers under the influence of alcohol or drugs, as well as reckless and negligent driving, including speeding, are responsible for most road accidents. In the area of bills, on the one-stop border post bill of 2022, Cabinet approved the OSPP bill for public comments. The bill follows approval of the OSPP policy and its implementation strategy in March 2022. It seeks to harmonize the movement of people and goods between South Africa, land ports of entry, and its neighboring countries. This will alleviate current congestions at our land ports of entry for cross-border travelers and traders. These interventions are also key in the country's efforts in driving the African Continental Free Trade Area. The agreement envisioned in the bill will ensure that processing of goods, vehicles, and people is seamless and fast. The bill also responds to relevant international legal instruments that relate to trade facilitation and movements of the people and goods. The one-stop border policy bill is about integrating all the services that people are supposed to receive so that they are processed across the border, instead of having parallel centers and so on. We are anxious that it gets implemented very soon to actually ensure that the movement along the border is actually smoother than it has been. On the National Identification and Registration Bill of 2022, Cabinet approved the publication of National Identification and Registration Bill of 2022 for public comments. This bill gives effect to official identity management policy and seeks to provide a single, inclusive, and integrated digital national identification system for all people who live or have lived in the country. The draft bill will provide for the combination and maintenance of population register for citizens and permanent residents. It further provides for the creation of an identification database for certain foreigners who sojourn temporarily in the country. It also provides for a biometric national identity system that will enable a single view of person by providing for particulars to be included in population register and the identification database. The NIS will also be able to interface with other government and private sector identity systems. Both the OSBP One-Stop Border Policy Bill of 2022 and National Identification and Registration Bill of 2022 will be published in the Department of Home Affairs website, which is www.dha.gov.za. Members of public are encouraged to submit written comments to the following address: Director General of Home Affairs, Private Bag 114, Pretoria 0001, telephone 012-406-4353. On the upcoming events, the African Union being one of those, President Cyril Ramaphosa will attend the 36th ordinary session of the Assembly of the Heads of State Government of the AU to be held from 18 to 19 February in Addis Ababa. The AU Assembly, which will be held under the theme Open Code, Acceleration of ACTA implementation, will be preceded by the 42nd ordinary session of the Executive Council from the 14th to the 16th. In other words, the sessions that will precede is the Executive Council from the 15th to the 16th, before the head of states come together. The head of state and government of the AU will use the theme to reaffirm their commitment to full implementation of African Continental Free Trade Area. State visit by the President of Uganda. His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of Uganda will undertake a state visit to our country on Tuesday, 28 February 2023, at the invitation of his counterpart, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa. The purpose of the state visit is to consolidate bilateral relations between the two countries. It will culminate in the business forum to explore trade and investment contacts between the two countries. On the 2023 Southern African Development Community Media Awards, Cabinet reminds all media that entries into this media awards, which closes on Tuesday, 28 February 2023, all those entries are open to all journalists from SADC member states. SADC Media Awards recognizes best media work in the areas of print, photo, television, and radio in dissemination information on SADC to support the process of regional cooperation and integration in the region. In the area of congratulations, the Cabinet extended its congratulations and well wishes to Nomcebo Zikode, Zakes Bantwini, and Walter Kellerman for winning Best Global Music Performance for their song Bayete at the 65th Annual Grammy Awards. In the area of condolences, Cabinet expressed condolences to the family and friends of the people who died recently when a bus collided with a cash-in-transit vehicle in the N1 highway in Limpopo. Cabinet wished those injured in the accident a speedy recovery. John Wood, at an age of 56, the former Bafana and Orlando Pirates player, who was an integral part of 1996 Africa Cup of Nations winning team. Cabinet also expressed condolences to the government and people of Turkey and Syria, who suffered large-scale loss of life and vast damage to social and economic infrastructure following a severe earthquake on the 6th February 2023, measuring 7.8 on the Richter scale. Our hearts go out to families who have lost loved ones or are searching for relatives. Cabinet commends the South African Humanitarian Aid Organization, which has joined the international response. Cabinet applauded the South African Police Service K9 unit members whose brave efforts, among others, resulted in the rescue of an 8-year-old woman who survived under the rubble for over 8 days in Turkey. Lastly, on the appointments, all appointments are subject to verification of qualification and relevant clearance. We congratulate those subject to them passing all those processes. Ms. Azola Mayekiso as Chief Executive Officer of the National Housing Finance Corporation, Mr. Lucas Tabiso Titi as Deputy Director General, Institutional Development and Support in the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, Ms. Bitumelo Musako as CEO of Development Bank of Southern Africa, Mr. Kabelo Rikotso as Executive Director of the Public Investment Corporation, Mr. Matsimela Muloi as the Registrar of the Road Traffic Infringement Agency, Advocate Sunobile Mangojo as Non-Executive Director and the Chairperson of the Cross-Border Road Transport Agency Board. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, just guard me. Is there are you fielding the questions? Who's looking online to give me the online questions? So let's start. And please, will you be kind enough? I'm only getting to learn names for now, so it will be kind enough just to introduce yourself in the media house. The colleague there, the gentleman, the colleague in the centre, and then the gentleman from eNCA. Okay, let's start there. Let me just have a quick look. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 for now. Okay, thank you very much. Let's start at the extreme left, please. Lulama.
Can we see Lula Mamaja?
Lulama has got a camera.
We want to see Lulama. We want to see whether you are smiling or angry.
Minister, as the cabinet was discussing SONA, did you discuss the chaotic scenes that we witnessed during the SONA, and what's your take? Did the cabinet feel that the president was in danger when the FF members stormed the podium? And secondly, today the president is replying to the debate. As the cabinet, are you concerned that there's a possibility of chaos erupting again? And lastly, as you were mentioning appointments, I was hoping to hear the appointment of the SABC board. What's the latest on that? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lulama. Gentlemen?
Good morning, Minister. Jason Felix, News 24. Just one question from my side. Was there any talk on any cabinet reshuffle and also the appointments to the vacancies within the cabinet? You know, there's a
Why is the person who's asking this question?
Right here, Minister.
Okay.
Thank you.
Reshuffle.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Municipal.
Thank you so much. My name is Atim Tamana from Newsroom Africa. I think my colleagues have covered me, but I do have one more question, which is around the topical issue of Tottenham Hotspurs. Was it an issue that was discussed in Cabinet, given the fact that it was also discussed in a parliamentary portfolio committee? Was it even mentioned in the Cabinet meeting? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then,
Thank you so much. I'm via eNCA. My colleagues have covered a lot of the questions, but National State of Disaster Minister, was it discussed in terms of when we'll see the end of load shedding, seeing that the disaster is implemented now, and when the Minister of Electricity in the Presidency will be appointed? When it comes to crime, then, Minister, is government conceding that it's actually failing, given what we're seeing almost on a daily basis, but certainly a weekly basis, gunning down of even young people? You know, it's a regular occurrence in the country, and what we're seeing from government is just condolences that we've actually heard today, but no real action. We still want to know, for example, what happened to Unam Shamtwa. Promises were made back then that government was on a solid route or solid foundation, but still we don't know. Is government conceding that it's failing when it's coming to crippling crime?
thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Just can I, I'm sorry, Minister, just to be clear, can I just be told who will give the online ones? Liesel, can you please help me?
Yes, I will be doing it, but there's no online questions at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Minister.
Thank you very much. I thought of no work this morning. It seems I have to work. Listen, there are certain things that are part of Parliament. The only worrisome thing, Lulama, is when they stretch and border on undermining the security in that precinct. A lot of theatrics that happen in Parliament, you will never be able to stop them. But I know people would have said there was no, there are those who were bold enough to say there was no threat. You know, when you get to the stage where the head of the state is sitting, the security are not necessarily hired on the basis whether they are prophets or not. They observe circumstances. They have got a duty to either react or proact. So we leave that with them. Where I'm sitting, I just want to say to you up front, there's a lot of surprises that occurred there. I thought EFF was leaving. Even myself, I was taken by surprise that they found themselves in the stage. Now the question I'm asking, if even myself, I was surprised by seeing them getting to the stage, I was not sure what other surprise would occur. So police act to make sure that the security, and I think General South Africa is happy with the way police have acted in that manner. And of course, we will always protect the freedom of expression in Parliament. People don't have to challenge government in the manner prescribed by government. They don't have to smile, they can frown and use, they say sometimes we are stupid. We've never fought about that. Says we're dumb, you know, somebody said to me, we are not intelligent. We're not worried about those issues because they are allowed. But you know, in South Africa there's a limitation of rights, and security is a very critical matter. Imagine if they were allowed with the hope that they are peaceful and anything anticipated happened, a different story would be told. I think police opted to err on the side of caution. possibility of chaos today, you will never be able to predict parliamentary chaos. And of course, we're following developments. The key thing is to get ready if it happens. It must be contained. It must be within the acceptable prescripts. And we cannot say it's not going to happen, but we stay on the alert. And Parliament has demonstrated to be on top of that, especially the security cluster. SABC, that is in the purview of the President. Once the Parliament has done its work, it goes straight to the President. And the President is entitled to look at this because he is not a rubber stamper. When it comes to him, he must analyze it. I'm not sure sometimes if he's able to take it back to Parliament or something like that. I do not know. But we leave that with the President, and we hope the President at the right time will take the decision. Philip, this is a commonest question I don't escape every day. It's either it's on Twitter or it's during coffee time. And I keep on saying, if the President is going to reshuffle, he's going to reshuffle amongst ministers. And Philip, I'm one of the ministers. I'm part of the object of reshuffle. So can you imagine the President sitting down with me saying, Minister, how do you think I should do this? Actually, can we appreciate that? That issue is always preserved for the head of the President, no other head. The hotspot issue, that matter is between the minister concerned and the office of the President. We hope we'll be updated on it as it goes ahead. It's a matter that we don't think is not going to be resolved. Disaster. We have said that all the time. We are working towards ending load shedding tomorrow or this afternoon. But our immediate concern now is that we must stabilize load state. What is it? Schedule, eh? Stages. Stages. At least they must go to, we hope to sustain them at a low level. Yesterday, if I slept, it was 3. I checked today, yes, it's about 3. The immediate thing is to reduce them to a low level as we organize all means of opening energy into the grid. We've already said those who attended the President briefing, Mr. Roditics would have presented what he calls a roadmap to end load shedding. There's a possibility of ending it in a year if certain things do happen. So in other words, we are careful of saying on this state avenue, but we are confident, not too long, we'll deal with the load shedding. Especially now, the state of disaster is going to assist us in the following: 1, to make sure that we are allowed to execute speedily, no onerous processes, yet within the law. That's why the President has also called the real time by the AG. And I want, before that question is asked, by the way, there's point people say, no, there was AG during the PPE. But people don't say there was AG during Eastern Cape, KZN, and Northwest. You don't have a story there. AG was getting closer, and I think the system got educated by how the AG dealt with PPE. Once the AG comes here now, AG, in my view, has found better ways of keeping line of sight on all these things. And we must commend the AG in as far as KZN, Eastern Cape, and Northwest is concerned. Millions were deployed there. Naturally, thieves would always be salivating when that opportunity is. The fact that we don't hear a scandal, it means somebody did something. AG, working together with the oversight team of government, would have done that. So that's the first issue. The second issue is on the disaster. The President would have said that disaster is to make sure that we minimize its impact in particular areas. He spoke about food storage, spoke about fridge and retail supply, spoke about a lot of other sectors. It includes being able, where we see that there is a huge detriment, that even being able to drive generators to that area without following all these processes, but still, because when we say we don't follow normal processes, it doesn't mean outside the law. You change the restrictions to actually respond to the situation. And the president spoke about even the possibility of exempting places like water treatment and hospitals from this what we call. So, in other words, disaster deals with speedy resolution, at the same time dealing with impact. The date, of course, we are not going to come with it. And the date of the minister of viewer, we are not going to tell you no. But what we know, NICOM and all of us are at work now on a daily basis. Tomorrow you'll be getting a briefing. We have actually tried to make sure that on a weekly basis you get a briefing on the state of load shedding and where are we. Do we accept that we are failing on crime? All I can say, we accept that we're not doing well. But recently, remember what the president did when he came. It was reinforcement of the NPA, reinforcement of the justice system in general, reinforcement of the police, and actually putting money where the mouth of the president is. If you check recently, if you follow the stats, the rates of arrest have increased in South Africa. A lot of kingpins are being what we call taken to jail. We hope that will sustain, and we hope we'll find a way around the issue of crime. Otherwise, it's disturbing all of us because it's undermining the socio-economic environment so that our people have access to work. Thanks.
Thank you, Minister. Can I, before I take the gentleman at the back, Mr. Paul, online, Lisa?
Thank you. Thank you, Minister. My question is on behalf of Tando from Business Day. She asked the question as follows. During the COVID-19 state of disaster, the Cabinet reprioritized around 500 billion rand of the state funds to go towards cushioning the population against the pandemic. How much of the state funds can we expect to be reprioritized to go towards the state of disaster for the energy crisis? That is Tando from Business Day.
Thank you. Thanks, Lisa. Is that the only one online?
That is the only one.
Learn how to interpret it. Paul? Sorry, before I give Paul a chance, is there anybody else? Because I think short of that, I'm not going to take another round. We're a little bit tight in the diary today. So, Paul, I see the hand of a follow-up from the gentleman from eNCA, Ariwa. And short of the last one coming online, that'll be it. Thank you, Paul.
Good morning, Minister. Paul Becky.
Paul. I know him.
Paul, your mic.
Morning, Minister. Paul Becky from Bloomberg. The President's Cabinet briefings is to give us insight into Cabinet discussions and decisions taken. The Cabinet this week approved 3 bills, which is fairly we made a whole lot of appointments, but you've given us no idea of any other decisions taken by Cabinet. For instance, has some kind of decision been made over the appointments of an electricity minister? How will he or she be accommodated within the Presidency and in Cabinet? Has the President enlightened you on that? Then my next question is, the upcoming military exercises with Russia and China off Richards Bay, will any Cabinet ministers be joining that? Will the President be joining that? There is an armed forces day parade in Richards Bay.
Can you start afresh on the Russian issue?
The Russian issue.
What are you saying about?
The naval exercises with Russia and China, which will be off Richards Bay. Will the President and any other Cabinet ministers be going to visit those exercises to witness what.
All right, those are live visuals there from Cape Town, where Minister Mondli Ngungubele is briefing. That's following Cabinet's meeting yesterday. A number of issues deliberated upon, most notably crime, with the minister going further to state or reiterate what was stated by the president around crime, saying they'll be reinforcing the police force and there will be an establishment of specialized task teams to deal with crime. But let's unpack the briefing now with a political analyst